It's the next space race. US space agency NASA will fast-track plans to build a nuclear reactor on the moon by 2030. But it's not alone. Earlier this year, China and Russia already announced plans to build a nuclear power plant on the moon to power their joint lunar research station. Joining us live now, Dr. Rebecca Allen, the co-director of the Space Technology and Industry Institute at Swinburne Uni. Good morning to you, Doctor. So a few screamingly obvious questions here. Why would a nuclear plant be needed on the moon, first of all?
Well, when we're thinking about long-term activity on the moon, our astronauts who are performing important activities like mining for resources, their life support systems, this requires immense amounts of power. And while we've seen on the International Space Station that solar panels can provide quite a bit of power, we're looking about at the same amount. On the moon, there's different challenges, especially with where these lunar bases may be. And so nuclear power is something which is an obvious alternative. It's something that's been used in the space program, again, going back to very early interplanetary missions and continuing through today. As we move further and further away from the sun, solar panels just aren't viable anymore. So we have used nuclear power. This would just be a different type of kind of nuclear reactor to fuel this size of activities.
Yeah, I know, obviously no wind as well, but how would you get it there?
That's a fantastic question. And so literally we would be looking at these new launch systems that we've seen, and we would take the reactor with us from Earth, which again, I was thinking actually in my head, how big would it be and how would they exactly, assemble it and install it? So these are obviously questions which have not been completely addressed yet, but it would travel there and it would be installed on a future lunar base. And that, again, this presents challenges and issues with if anything happened at launch and then en route, and then obviously installing it on the moon and maintaining it on the moon. There's several different points there where we really have to think carefully.
Oh, and it feels like 2030 is highly ambitious here, but look, you never know because there's a lot of momentum now because, as I mentioned at the start, it's not just the US, it's China, Russia who are in this race. So what happens with land or territory? Who gets what?
That's a fantastic question. And, we know through the UN that there's guidelines around how nuclear power can be used in space. Obviously, anything that kind of goes near the military side is absolutely, not something that we allow, but there's no way to enforce that. So I think this is a very tricky question as we get to multiple countries, even private companies occupying the moon. The sentiment there is that it should be completely for research, for furthering research in our understanding of the moon and human spaceflight. So as long as everything kind of stays within that, arena, then it should be okay. But again, we have no way of really predicting what will happen. But I think that there has been a lot of cooperation outside of geopolitics. We know that, space, we have to work together. Countries, companies have to work together to see these ambitious goals, especially if we're thinking 2030. We know the US and NASA will be heavily relying on private companies and even going back to cooperating, with Russia because of their knowledge of using nuclear power in space.
Yeah. I might bring Elon Musk back into the question as well. Doctor, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. It's an interesting one. We'll talk to you again soon.